Hello there guys, and welcome to another one of my reviews. Today, as you probably could tell from the title of this video or the thumbnail, we're about to test the brand new Bentley Continental GT Cabrio. Let's go. Now, this is the 2023 edition Bentley Continental in its convertible version, of course, and it is a stunner. It's also celebrating its 20th anniversary because the Continental GT was launched 20 years ago in 2003. And it did change quite a lot in the meantime. Now, this car is built on the same platform as the Porsche Panamera, and that means it's quite a good driving car and it has the specs it needs to perform, but we're going to talk about that later on. For now, let's take a look at its exterior design. We still have the huge mesh grille up front. The GT has been defined by this design, along with the 4 round headlamps. And starting with 2020, they have crystals in them, and they look absolutely amazing both during the day and during the night. And the lines on this car are absolutely brilliant, and they don't have to change a lot year to year. They have an approach similar to what Porsche has done with the 911 over time, but this car looks very modern and very good. Now, from the sides, you will notice this car is pretty big. So it has a length of 4.85 meters. And to realize just how big it is, to put it in context, take a look at the wheels. They don't seem too big for the car, right? That's because they're 22-inch wheels. And you would say, well, 22-inch wheels on a coupe, that's madness. Well, they don't look too big on it, so that gives you a grasp of just how big the Continental GT is. You can also get 21-inch wheels, but these look absolutely perfect on this car. Also, the color you see right here is called apple green. It's an optional color worth about 4,000 euros, and I think it's worth every penny. Now, behind those wheels, you'll find the most expensive option on this car, which are the carbon ceramic brakes. They cost 13,000 euros, and they come with huge brake calipers, 10 piston up front and 4 piston in the back. Now, the trick is not to get them. I know it sounds counterintuitive because this car has a weight of almost 2.4 tons, but the truth of the matter is the metal ones will do just fine, and these are only recommended if you want to go to the track, which I'm willing to bet not a lot of people will actually do. Now, round the back, classic Bentley lights over here, nothing to talk about. It looks absolutely brilliant. We have the quad tailpipes for the V8 over here as well, and of course the Bentley logo. As for the practicality of the thing, well, you don't really get a convertible and think about practicality. This is the boot. It has 235 liters in total, but the opening is rather small, so fitting larger luggage in here will be an issue. But if you have a Bentley, you'll probably be buying everything you need once you get to your destination. And why is that? Because this opening is bigger on the coupe model, is because you need all of this space to fold the roof, which, by the way, is a textile one. It's a soft top, and that shouldn't surprise anyone. Soft tops have been getting a lot better over the recent years. Even the Rolls-Royce Dawn is using a soft top for its roof solution. And this is the interior, of course, in brown leather with camel stitching, contrasting stitching, and of course the Azure logo over here. This leather comes from a special breed of bovines found at high altitudes because there are no bugs over there to ruin their skin. And it's the same principle Rolls-Royce uses. We also have a kilted design over here, diamond pattern if you will, and of course open pore veneers on the doors and on the dashboard. And that's an interesting detail right there. You might be wondering, where is the screen for the infotainment system? Well, for some time now, Bentley decided to offer the customers a swiveling screen. Basically, you press a button, the one that says screen over there, I'm going to show you later, and you can hide the screen so you can have a perfect line for the dashboard. Because what ages first in these modern cars are the displays, first and foremost, and this design will hold up for a long time. As for the room in the back, well, Bentley does say this is a 4-seater, but you know what? Unless you're a child, I don't know if you're gonna fit in the back here. This is how you fold the front seat to allow people to sit in the back. But once again, what you saw earlier was my comfortable driving position, and there wasn't a lot of room left. But you can appreciate the fact that the seat backs are wrapped in leather as well. We also have the Naim sound system, which is the most expensive one. It's 6,800 euros. It has 2200 watts and an incredible sound. Totally recommended. As usual, when it comes to cabrio models, convertibles, whatever you want to call them, I recommend getting the top sound system, because once you have the roof down, you will need all that extra power because of the wind buffeting. Now let's start the engine and raise the roof. Now, the reason I did that was to show you the material used for the roof liner. So this is Alcantara, and it feels great to the touch, unlike what I've seen on other luxury models. So this is one of the 3 faces for the infotainment screen. So you have the completely flat one that I showed you earlier. You have this one with 3 gauges, and if you press this button, you have the 12.3-inch screen for the infotainment system. The infotainment system works fine. Could have been better, but it's not really a problem. And the system overall resembles the one found on Audi models. Okay, so this is the classic Bentley analog watch, and these are air vents made out of metal. And they feel great to the touch. They also have small, tiny water droplets on them once the AC starts to get going, because it creates condensation, and you'll see it over here. It's something you won't see on plastic air vents. And these 2 buttons over here allow you to open and close each vent, and I wish I could show you just how they feel, how precise and smooth they are. It's quite amazing. So this is the center console. A lot of buttons over here, mainly for the climate system, but you also have buttons for the driving modes, the start button, park, self-parking, park distance control, raising or lowering the roofline, and so on. And this is the instrument cluster, of course digital, but I know I said it's going to age bad, but this has a timeless design in my book, so I think it's going to be fine over a longer period of time. This is a steering wheel, of course, great feeling leather all around. That said, let's take this baby on the road and talk about the technical side of things, and of course how it drives. So, as I was saying, this car shares its underpinnings with the Porsche Panamera and the Bentley Flying Sport. They are the only cars to use this platform, and that shows in a number of ways. First of all, the driveline is basically the same. So we're talking about a V8 up front, a twin turbo V8, a 4-liter twin turbo V8. That's delivering 550 horsepower and 770 Newton meters of torque. That power is then sent to a 8-speed dual clutch gearbox that then distributes it to the 4 corners of the car, because this is an all-wheel drive model. In terms of torque split, the front axle usually gets 38% of the torque and the power, of course, but it can go down to about 17%, so you can send up to 83% of the power to the rear axle. So it's a rear-wheel drive, all-wheel drive system. And according to Bentley, this car will be able to do 100 kilometers an hour from standstill in 4 seconds flat, which is pretty awesome considering the car has a weight of 2.3 tons empty. So it's considerably heavier than the coupe model, which is normal because usually convertible models need a bit more bracing in the structure in order to make sure there's no obvious flexing. There's still some flexing on this car. You can notice it when you go over certain bumps, as the windshield will be flexing a lot and the rear view mirror will be dancing, but it's not terrible. Also, this car comes with active anti-roll bars using a 48 volt system, and they do a pretty good job in sport mode. As a matter of fact, this car has a completely different behavior in sport mode compared to Bentley or comfort mode. Bentley is somewhere in the middle between sport and comfort. The suspension is an air suspension, and it uses a new system with 3 chambers per strut, and combined with the anti-roll system, active anti-roll system, it does a pretty good job at keeping the car level whenever you're driving in a sportier manner. But I don't think that's the main purpose of this car. After all, we are talking about a Continental GT. I think its main purpose is to carry you over extensive distances in absolute comfort and without any worries. And that's exactly what this car does brilliantly. The roof folds in about 19 seconds at up to 50 kilometers an hour, and you can enjoy the sun, of course, if it's not too hot out. Today is incredibly hot. It's 38.5 degrees Celsius right now, and I did fold my roof because this is a convertible and I'm trying to review the cars as they are meant to be driven. But normally you probably would raise the roof and enjoy some really cool AC. To Bentley's credit, the AC system works really well, and it adapts depending on the situation. Of course, it's an automatic climate control. It's an automatic system, but even though we have almost 40 degrees Celsius outside, I don't feel that hot. So the AC is doing its job. We do have ventilated seats. They help out a lot as well. These seats are also very comfortable, and they also offer a massaging function, which is pretty brilliant. So even though I have my top down, I can honestly say that I don't really feel too hot right now, and not as in the music video. I'm not too hot in terms of actual body temperature. When you drive this car in comfort mode, it's a completely different animal. It's incredibly refined and it soaks up the bumps brilliantly. When you're driving it in a sportier fashion, there is a bit of pitch and roll, and that's not exactly an issue. As I said, I don't think a lot of people will be driving this car to its absolute limit. Even though Bentley has a huge heritage in motorsport, I don't think people will actually do that. That's why I don't see why I would buy the carbon ceramic brakes for it, because they are useful, but only on the track. On day-to-day traffic, I think the metal ones will do just fine. I don't think you should spend 12,000 euros on ceramic brakes, because unless you're gonna actually track this car, and you can do it. You can do it because it was specially set up to do that. But overall, this is a very refined car. I would normally talk about the fuel consumption right now, but I think it's irrelevant. You do have a 90-liter tank, and I do have a 25 liter per 100 kilometers covered fuel consumption listed in the board computer right now. But I don't think that's relevant because I filmed all day long, and I did it with the engine turned on because it was excruciatingly hot. So that's not a realistic fuel consumption. I think it would be closer to 20 liters per 100 kilometers covered in normal non-filming situations. You also have all the tricks in the book right now, so the car will keep you in lane. It has adaptive cruise control. It also comes with cylinder deactivation, for example. So on the highway, if you're cruising at a certain speed and the car doesn't need a lot of power, you will actually be using only one of the cylinder banks, so only 4 cylinders. I don't know how many people will care about that, but it's something they do in an effort to reduce the CO2 emissions and to reduce the impact on the environment. And I would have liked, if I'm to criticize something about this car, I would have liked a lower driving position. For some reason, I feel like I'm sitting really up high. It's quite abnormal for me. But it's not a huge issue. Maybe I was just expecting the Bentley Continental GT, as it is the sportiest model in the range right now. Maybe I expected it to be a bit lower, but it's fine anyway. It's a big car, so it's not an issue. Now let's talk about its rivals for a second. So this car is the most luxurious convertible I've ever driven. The only one that's above it, I would say, is maybe the Rolls-Royce Dawn. I didn't get to experience that car yet, so I can't really say if it's better or worse. I know it's more expensive. Other rivals for this car include the Mercedes-Benz SL63 AMG or the BMW M8 convertible. That's roughly the competition, but this is a Bentley, so in terms of brand power, this has the upper hand, but it is also more expensive. So pricing starts at roughly around 250,000 euros. This car has a price tag of 280,000 euros. But I think it's for the first time that I'm saying this. I think it's worth the money. I recently tested a Mercedes-Benz SL63 AMG. I didn't do an English video on it. That was priced at 230,000 euros. And it feels like a lot less car than this one. I know there's a 50,000 euro difference between them, but it's also a Bentley versus a Mercedes, an AMG. This one is a bigger one. You don't really have usable seats in the back, but they're still bigger than the ones in the SL, and so on. So it's a tricky combination here. But I would like to know which one you would get out of these three. Which one would get your money? Until next time, don't forget to support my channel with a like, a share, a subscribe, anything, a comment if you enjoyed this video. Until next time, don't forget to feed your passions. Ciao.